Hey guys, well, welcome back to Tam Talks, a place for real and honest conversation. Hey guys, we're going to actually move into a whole new series of podcasts. And if you're watching me right now on my YouTube channel, stay with us and make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss the next series of guests that I'm going to have, because honestly, guys, we have to get more passionate and honest about what's happening both in our country, in our world, whether it's globally or domestically. So many things are happening. So I sat down with my team and they said, you know, Tammy, one thing you really love to do is interview people that are passionate about things like politics and religion and family. So we're going to segue over the next few podcasts and our YouTube video and just talk and interview people that have a lot more knowledge than me. So, you know, one thing I teach you in my coaching is smart people put smarter people around them. So I'm going to bring some smart people here into the studio to educate us and encourage us in some of these areas that are hot topics for some real and honest conversation. So my first guest this week, I'm so excited, is Jolynn Mahoney. And Jolynn's become a dear friend, and really probably just the last maybe 2 years we met. Since the pandemic, and since, to be honest, many of you know our church stayed open during the pandemic, and people here in Orange County that were looking for a place to come to church, many came here to Influence Church, and you and Pat were a part of that and a part of my husband's news media outlet, which is AmericanFaith.com. And so I've gotten to know you on both a political side, and honestly, your heart for God is so beautiful, and watching you guys worship on Sunday. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Happy Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
I know. I had on my pink and took it off. I should have it on. But it is Valentine's Day. And, you know, I want to talk, Jolynn, the reason I ask you is you are one of the most educated people when it really does come to things like policies or politics or where we are as a country right now. You're always sending me emails and educating me. And let me just say this before I open it up to you is I don't know where you stand politically, and you may feel like the church should not be involved in politics. And Jolynn and I were just discussing this before the show, that I think we have to be involved in politics. We have to be involved in our faith and our church. Those are two things. They are two pillars of who America is. And so that's really what I want to discuss over the next few weeks with you. Let's talk about things like politics and why we should be involved, because we are where we are in the state of our country.
We have to be involved. I mean, think about what they affect our life more than anything else, right?
Absolutely do. Well, tell me a little bit your background. Let's start with you and introduce yourself to our audience and your background, and how did you get involved in politics and so passionate about it?
Well, I can't say that I'm involved in politics, but I really try and follow it, and I really try and pay attention to what's going on in our state and in our country. I'm a native Californian. I was born and raised here in California, in Fullerton, and grew up in Yorba Linda and Anaheim Hills. And I really care about this state. And I look around and I don't recognize it anymore. You know, it's really hard to attain the American dream now in California. Mm-hmm. And I had my own business from 1995 to about 2008 when I sold it. And, you know, at the time that I started my business, it was doable. You know, mm-hmm. I was able to navigate it. Mm-hmm. But for young people wanting to start a business today, the hoops that they have to jump through with the state of California are just really ridiculous.
But again, I'm not giving up on the state. I know everybody that watches me and has been a part of my podcast and my YouTube videos is I'm going to take it on the spiritual side. I believe that God wants to bring revival to this state, because he always looks, you know, for the weakest to make him the strongest.
Yeah.
And let's just say this. I believe we are where we are today because I'm going to be so bold as to say is who's in office, who has been voted in office, the laws that have been placed not only in California but in our country, and so many of us in the church and so many of us Americans haven't done anything to make a difference, Jolynn. We haven't gotten out and voted. We haven't become a part of our school boards. We haven't done anything. We are where we are because of us. Let's just be honest. And
I totally agree.
I totally
agree. And, you know, Christians are complicit in where we are today with politics because they want to separate the politics from their faith, or from their church or whatever, you know. And people love to say, you know, I'm pro-choice and separation of church and state, please. Well, you know, I was that girl too when I was young. You know, I was pro-choice but Republican. Okay, but as I've grown in my faith and as I've gotten older, I've realized that you really have to reconcile that.
Yeah.
You really can't be both. You can only be both if you're not being honest with yourself about things. And so, like, with education, we can educate children on queer gender theory, but we can't educate them on the development of a baby in the uterus.
Right.
So it's very easy to make ignorant decisions, right? Until you know. And when you know, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, you've heard me tell this at the beginning of the pandemic when I had that. Obviously, it was a vision from God, and he showed me that the enemy was coming with 3 arrows, and it was dissension, fear, and confusion. And we know that's true. It's the residue from that is still here. There's such a sense of fear over our country. And then obviously dissension. We've seen such dissension. And it's not just, it used to be you're Republican or you're Democrat and all this fighting. And the enemy wants to bring dissension. If he can confuse us, which you just said, none of this makes sense. So there is a spirit of confusion, a spirit of dissension, and a spirit of fear. So we have
That's exactly what
we
they
have
want
to
to
break
create.
that down. So talk to me, because again, you brought up.
Let me read this to
Yeah,
you.
I
I
thought
brought
this
this because
was
I
good.
thought it was interesting. If you leave the gate open, the cow will wander off. So if you intentionally leave the gate open, you want the cow to wander off. You can't blame stupidity or laziness. It was intentional. If you cut police budgets, you'll get more crime on the streets. So if you intentionally cut police budgets, you want more crime on the streets.
Wow.
If you cut back the supply of oil, gas prices will go up. So if you intentionally cut back the supply of oil, you wanted gas prices to go up. If you print trillions of dollars without increasing the supply of goods, inflation will hit hard. So if you intentionally print trillions of dollars without more goods, you wanted inflation to hit hard. If you leave the southern border wide open, you get more drug trafficking and human trafficking. So if you intentionally leave the border wide open, you wanted more drug trafficking and human trafficking. If you shut down 40% of the supply of baby formula in February, you'll get a huge shortage when you know a huge baby formula shortage is coming because of the FDA's actions, and you purposely do nothing to prevent it. Month after month, until the crisis finally hits hard, you intended the crisis. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm having trouble reading.
This is so good.
It is time to recognize the evil people behind that old man being our president. They want crisis. They want chaos. They want riots. They want conflicts in your town. Their stated purpose years ago with Obama was to take the U.S. down a few notches on the world stage. You can feel the quality of your life going down with the country. These are not foolish or misguided people. They are headed somewhere that we don't want to go.
I don't know who wrote that, but so well said.
A dear friend of mine from Los Angeles wrote that and sent that to me.
Amazing.
Very
And
wise man.
And it's just hit the hammer right there, the nail on the head. Okay, so let's talk about this. What do we do when we live in an environment where decisions are being made that we can't do anything about, or can we?
Of course we can do something about it. We have allowed the loudest people on the left with really bad ideas and really bad agenda and really bad ideology to, because they're the loudest, to affect our lives the most.
To write the narrative.
And we have not fought back because we're afraid to fight back, when in fact that's exactly what we have to do. We have to get loud. We have to stop being afraid. We have to push back on the insanity, and there's so much of it is really, or just bad ideas.
Absolutely. Well, there's things like in my mind when we hear the term harvest ballot, what is it?
Ballot harvesting.
Thank you, ballot harvesting. We were just talking about that, and I just think, that's not right. Everyone should take their ballot. They should go, vote, or they should go. But the strategies of the left, and there is a strategy. Whether the strategy is coming from the White House or it's coming from demonic forces, I don't know, but there's a strategy. We have to be smarter. And let me just say this. Obviously, I look at everything from a biblical worldview.
Well, these people are very misguided.
They're
allowing themselves to be guided by the evil
but
that
there's a
hovers
strategy.
over the earth.
That's my point. There's a strategy that I think is a demonic strategy. And I'm not trying to put myself in this better boat, but I'm telling you what, I love our country. I love our freedom. I love our rights. So I can't sit around and complain and say, I can't believe what's happening. I can do something about it. So you and I talked about that. Should we be doing ballot harvesting? Well, absolutely we should.
Well, we have to, because unfortunately they've changed the laws, they've changed the rules.
Yeah.
And Republicans and independents have not been playing the game.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years, since the pandemic, since they used the pandemic to change
Yes,
these laws,
yes.
okay? So that's why we're losing. That's one of the reasons we're continuing to lose. So we have to, in order to win, we now have to play that game, okay? As unfortunate as that is, as distasteful as that is to me, we need to start collecting people's ballots. And if you're not informed on who to vote for, if you get your ballot and you look at it and it's overwhelming and you see all these judges and you have no idea who they are, give it to somebody that's informed and can help you go through that or help you with it and get it turned in. And
There's plenty of voters' guides out there that you can find.
There is sometimes you don't know where to find them. So, talk to, every church should actually have a point person.
Well, should is the operative word there, right? Because church, you know this because we've been ridiculed for it. Most churches are not involved in anything, quote, political. They separate themselves from it. And that's why I think we are where we are today. It needs to be preached from our pulpits. We need to raise up the standard of this country, or there will not be an America.
If your church is not talking to you about politics and about what is going on in the world, because we're truly in a battle of good versus evil, then you should take a look at that church. Maybe you shouldn't be going there. Maybe you should be going somewhere that's going to really talk to you about the hard things that are going on in our state and in our world that we're battling. And we are at war. There's no question about it.
I have a question for you.
So you have, we are going to start educating people on turning, as soon as you get your ballot, because we get our ballots like a month ahead of time or more, get it turned in to somebody that can help you fill that out and get it turned in immediately. We're waiting too long to vote is what we've discovered. We've done a real big analysis of the last election, and we're waiting too long to vote. We're holding on to our ballots too long, or we think that if we go vote the day of, that's going to make a difference. So the fraud is taking place in so many different places and levels and ways that it's impossible for us to figure that out. But the more of us that vote and the more of us that turn our ballot in early, the better off we are going to be. And that's how we're going to start winning. That's how we're going to start winning this battle and helping young people and children. Because this is a battle for the young people and the children in this country.
Well, and you know as well as I do, because it's always been a black eye on society, is you don't talk about politics. You don't talk about this stuff. And as we just mentioned earlier, it's why we're where we are. So how do we educate people that are watching and listening right now who have stayed with us this long, but they're going, okay, convince me why. Why should I really even care?
Well, you have to care because, I mean, it affects your life more than government affects our life more than anything else. We pay taxes. How much of your income do you pay in taxes? We're paying, whatever that number is, it's 30% or more, right?
Right.
Probably a lot more than that than you're paying in taxes. And then when you start adding up things like gas taxes and all the other taxes that are added on there, that is really affecting your life. That's affecting your ability to save for retirement, your ability to send your kids to school, get them a better education, your ability to put food on the table. And people are making choices. Do I put gas in my car to put food on my table? That's politics. That's politics right there. That is affecting your life. So our gas bills, think about this, our gas bills and electric bills that have gone through the roof in the last couple of months. I mean, we're talking quadrupled. That is the result of climate change tax initiatives that they snuck through that we were not paying attention to. I wasn't. I didn't know that happened, and all of a sudden we're all seeing these incredible bills.
And that's basically the person who says right now, there's nothing I can do. And that's exactly what you just said. There's absolutely something you can do. You can be educated, you can get out and vote, and you can speak up. These kinds of dialogues, and this just started because you and I began to talk. And now I'm sharing with other people who are sharing with other people. That's called momentum, and that's how you make a change. You start with a conviction, and then you start with a passion. And then you start with really just that conviction and passion to do something. And I'm telling you right now, we have so much more to talk about. So I think what I want to do is wind down this one, and I want to have you back again to talk about a little bit more, because I think there's so much that we want to say. But I want to say this to you right now, lest you feel that this is just about our responsibility to our country. I want you to know that this is just a weird thing. My husband and I were talking about this, and he's a biblical prophecy expert. I would say he probably understands biblical prophecy better than anyone I know. And I said to him, babe, why don't you think America is mentioned at all in the Bible? Like even in end times, we don't see any reference to America. And we just kind of all think, well, maybe in the end times, we're just not going to be here. Maybe we just dissolve. Somebody comes in and takes us over. But with all the nuclear craziness out there today, let me just say to you right now, we have no clue. We are at war. We don't even realize. I don't care if it's China. I don't care if it's Russia. There are strategies behind the strategies. You hear about the government behind the government. The enemy has a plan to destroy. And the one thing I will say for America, our roots were founded in God. The freedom of faith and religion, the freedom of family, the freedom of conviction. That's one thing that this country was founded on. So I want you to know right now, I'm going to have Jolynn. We're going to roll right into another one.
That's right. When people talk about separation of church and state, well, our country was founded on in God we trust,
Absolutely.
And it was founded on our inalienable rights that they knew are from God.
Absolutely.
So how do we separate church and state? It's like even abortion. People say, "My body, my choice." Well, what about the baby's development?
Yeah.
What about, are they a human being? Yes, they
but
are.
we can reason whatever we want to reason.
we don't have to get into
right?
to that today.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the other one I was going to mention? Separation of church and state.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying you don't want government in your bedroom?
Yeah.
Well, if they're regulating abortion, aren't they in your bedroom?
Yeah, these are so
And
many hot
aren't
topics.
you really saying that I don't want to take responsibility for my choices in my bedroom?
Yeah. Well,
So
or we want choices in some areas, but not others. We want
Right.
freedoms in some
Right.
areas. So I tell you what, I want you to
And
stay
I don't
tuned.
know what the right answer is, but it's worth talking about,
Yep.
right?
Yep. We're going to jump back into this. But you guys, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being a part of these. Share these podcasts with your friends. Please go down and click the notification and subscribe to my channel. I'm so excited about all the new people that are watching us right now on my YouTube channel. But I bless you guys. I'm so excited about what God's doing. Stay tuned. I'm going to have so many people coming in and talking about these hot topics for real and honest conversation. Love you guys. Make sure you're registered. Get out and vote. Stay tuned. I'm going to have Jolynn back. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.